Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install this Beatechnik LPS A6 into the eversolo streamer. Before I begin, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your support. We almost sold out the first production batch of this LPS A6. Did we expect this high demand? Sort of yes. But your strong support means the world to us. We just want to say thank you. We also put out some disclaimer on beatechnik.com website to share with you what are the aspects that you would expect to have the linear power supply installed in the eversolo. Before I forget, I have to put out this disclaimer. Modification of the product voids the warranty. This eversolo DMP-A6, if you modify the switching power supply, it will void the warranty. If you're not comfortable in electronic modification, if you're not comfortable in voiding the product warranty, please do not proceed. But if you are very happy with the eversolo streamer and wants to elevate the sound quality and fully unleash its potential, this Beatechnik LPS A6 might be a good solution for you. We also put out some other notes on the website to say that a linear power supply runs warmer compared to a switch mode power supply. It is a byproduct of the linear power supply. As you can tell from this heavy looking, or rather in reality it's literally heavier compared to the switching power supply. It has a lot more thing compared to the switching power supply. It has a huge heat sink for it to dissipate heat. And because this LPS A6 is meant to be installed within the same chassis as the eversolo streamer, it is going to generate higher heat compared to the switching power supply. In our test environment, the chassis temperature with the LPS A6 installed, when the streamer is running as a streamer, where you can connect the RCA or XLR output to the amplifier, or when you use it as a transport with USB drive or USB solid state drive and pen drive connected to the streamer, the temperature of the chassis is about 36 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius in our test environment. We have run this streamer for more than, 72 hours, and this temperature has been stable with the LPS A6. Right, another aspect that we talk about in the website or on the website is that the USB power consumption with the LPS A6, and because of the heat generation is higher than switch mode power supply, we would want to recommend you to use one USB port for the solid state drive or the hard drive. If you plan to use more than one solid state drive like this is the solid state drive that I have. I purchased this a few years ago. If you want to use more than one piece of solid state drive with the eversolo streamer, we recommend you to use a USB powered hub or a powered solid state drive. Some of the solid state drive comes with two USB heads that you can connect one of them data to the streamer and the other USB connector to a power supply, an additional power supply to power up the drive. And this particular small one doesn't have that. But some of the older solid state drive or hard drive may come with a powered adapter that you can use to power up the solid state drive. So in summary, if you plan to use more than one solid state drive or hard drive with the eversolo streamer, it is recommended to use powered USB hub or an additional USB power supply to power up the solid state drive. That is not to stress the linear power supply install in the eversolo. I think that's about it for the disclaimer, and I'm now ready to show you the installation guide of this LPS A6 into the eversolo DMP-A6. Right in front of me is the Master Edition. This LPS A6 is compatible with both Standard Edition and the Master Edition. Right, without further ado, let me explain what you would expect when you receive the LPS A6 package from us. This is the unit itself, and it comes with a small Ziploc bag like this. And what is inside this Ziploc bag is the silver plated DC cable that you will need to connect the LPS to the motherboard, and there are 4 pieces of rubber ring, and you're going to need this rubber ring to isolate or to insulate this LPS from the eversolo streamer chassis that we are going to need them later. So just put these parts safely aside, and this of course safely aside. The tools that are required to do this modification is really a Phillips plus screwdriver, as well as a hex key, or some people call it Allen key, 2mm. Right, these are the 2 screws required. No cutter, no soldering required at all. Let me just flip the eversolo to the back. Right, there are 6 screws to remove at the back panel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I already have the 4 screw removed. So later on, you are not going to see me removing all of the 6 screws. I'll just need to remove 2 screws. At the bottom panel, there are 7 screws to remove. So let me just do a count for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, I have 5 of the screw removed, and I'll just need to remove 2 of the screw. Right, let me just unscrew the 2 screws at the bottom of the unit with the hex key, 2mm Allen key. And remember, place this screw safely aside. You're going to need them later. Okay, it's a pretty simple job. Remove 7 screws at the bottom panel and flip the unit to the right angle position, and remove the 6 screws at the back of the unit. And again, I already have 4 of the screws removed. I'll just need to remove 2 screws. Once all the 6 plus 7 screws removed, you'll be able to pop this top cover open. But before we do that, I just need to give you an expectation. The front panel or the display, as well as the volume knob, is connected to the motherboard using 2 flat cables. These 2 flat cables are not supposed to be stretched or pulled apart. Do not break the cable. So you got to slide this top cover open very gently. Do not use excessive force. And because the 2 short cables are pretty short, the 2 flat cables are pretty short. So please do not remove the chassis from the bottom panel too far out. I will suggest you to slide the top cover probably 10 mm or 1 cm from the back panel. With that, you will be able to flip this top cover open gently again, just like that. And this thing is going to stand on its own, even though the volume knob is sort of blocking, tilting the front panel, but this position will be fine. These are the 2 flat cables that I talked about just now. I'm not sure from this camera angle you'll be able to see that, but we already put up the picture on the website to show you these 2 flat cables. So please do not stress it. Please do not pull them apart. If you have another person to help you with this job, that will be very helpful, where another person can hold this top cover so that you can be sure that this thing will not fall apart. Right, the next thing to do is to identify the switching power supply, which is on the left hand side in my view. Right, this piece here is the switching power supply that we are going to replace. The first thing I'm going to recommend you to do is to unlatch this DC cable. There's a DC cable that transfers the power from the switching power supply to the motherboard. There are 2 connectors that are connecting the socket of the linear power supply as well as the motherboard. There's a latch here that you need to use your thumb to unlatch before you can pull the connector out from the socket. So I'm going to do that for the motherboard side and hold the heatsink just to give it a bit of force. Don't pull the whole thing out. Right, I already removed one of the sides, and I'm going to do it for the switching power supply side. Ta-da! This is how the DC cables look like. You're not going to need this later because we have provided you with a silver plated cable for you to connect the LPS to the motherboard, but please keep it safely aside. Alright, the next job will be to remove 6 screws that is securing this switching power supply to the bottom chassis. All you need is a Phillips screwdriver plus sign. I'm going to unscrew the 6 screws gently. And if you have a screwdriver with magnetic head, it is going to help you to sort of remove the screw and use the magnet effect to hold the screw out so that you don't have to use two hands. But apparently this magnet is not strong enough. But anyhow, remove the 6 screws. 2. Again, put the screws safely aside. You're going to need them later. 3. 4. 5. And the last one. Again, do it gently. Please do not knock the top cover like I just did. If this thing fall apart, it is going to stress the flat cable and it may pull them apart. That's really the last thing that we want. Alright, 6 screw removed for the switching module, and we are be able to pop this guy out just like that, very easily. This is how the switching power supply look like for the eversolo standard edition or the master edition. Right, let me just do a comparison. Because of the LPS A6 is a I would say one-to-one plug and play replacement. It integrates seamlessly into the same chassis. Both of them look quite not alike, but the size-wise, the connectivity-wise, as well as the connector-wise are identical. Right, I'm going to put this switching power supply aside and quickly show you how to install this LPS A6. Alright, just do a quick summary. This is what you remove from the eversolo streamer: a switching power supply, a DC cable, and 6 screws. We are going to need the 6 screws later. Right, just put them safely aside. Alright, next thing that we need to do is to position the 4 rubber ring that come with the LPS A6 onto the PCB stands. That allow us to install the LPS A6 later. We are going to position this 4 rubber ring at the top part of the PCB stand, 1, 2, and at the rear part 3, 4. So there are 4 rubber ring that we need to place on top of the PCB stand, and this can be a little bit tricky because the rubber ring is going to move around. So in my opinion, this could be the hardest part of the modification. Other than that, it is quite straightforward in my opinion. You're going to need 4 rubber rings. This rubber ring helps to insulate the LPS as well as the eversolo bottom chassis. So just put them on top gently, and because the rubber ring doesn't have a glue or some sort, it may move around. So just put them and place the LPS A6 on top of them and align them properly before you put on the screws. Alright, so LPS A6 is going to sit in this position. So IEC inlet is going to face or right in front of me, and the other side of it will be the DC connector from the LPS to the motherboard. So let me just put this on top of the 4 rubber ring carefully. Before I forget, so there are 2 PCB standoff here that we will not be using, is because the huge transformer already taken out the space, so we will not be able to screw the 2 screw at this position, at the middle position. But the 4 screw at the side is already sufficient to hold this, to secure this LPS A6 module onto the chassis. So let me just do it very carefully, gently, and do not move the rubber ring. There's a cutout for the IEC inlet, so you may want to align this properly before you put down the LPS. I was holding my breath. Alright, just put it down safely. Just put it down. And you may use the 2mm hex key or the Allen key to position this. And because this is small enough, it will be able to go through the PCB hole as well as the screw hole and the rubber ring as well. So just make sure they are sitting in the correct position, and this is the right position before you apply the screw. So I'm going to use the Phillips Plus screwdriver with a bit of magnetic effect, that's nice, and tighten the 4 screws. Generally, I'll recommend to tighten the diagonal screws to make sure that the PCB, the LPS A6, is secure to the PCB stand. If you are electronic trained, the PCB stand is meant to secure the PCB as well as the chassis. So it's called a standoff, PCB standoff. So secure the 2 screws at the diagonal and do it for the other diagonal. So it's quite straightforward, as you can tell. We are almost done. Right, the last screw to secure. Again, please do not knock the top cover that it may potentially fall out and pull the two flat wire apart. Alright, we have secured the 4 screws in order to secure this LPS A6 module onto the bottom panel. The next thing to do will be to connect this silver plated DC cable to supply the linear power supply from the LPS A6 to the motherboard. Generally, I would recommend you to bend this cable a little bit in a nice fashion. I'm pretty particular about this, so I'm an aesthetic guy, so I want my stuff to look good. So bend it slightly in this fashion and connect this to the socket located on the LPS as well as on the motherboard. Just for the sake of showing you where is it. One here and the other one will be here. And there's a latch here. As soon as you plug in the connector to the socket, you should be able to hear a click sound. I'm not sure whether my microphone can capture this. I hope it can. Loud enough? Yeah, click. So I've connected the silver plated cable, DC cable, to the LPS side, and I'll connect the other side to the motherboard. Again, you should hear a click sound. This is louder. Alright. So make sure the connectors are seated properly and securely tightened. I'll usually apply a bit of force to make sure the cable and the connector and the socket are properly tightened and secured. Right, the last thing we'll need to do is to do a visual check and make sure there's no foreign object fall onto the motherboard and the LPS A6. You do not want to have any debris or stuff like that to loom around on the PCB. Right, so just do a simple visual check. When everything is in place, you may gently flip the top cover, gently again, and cover it securely and make sure it is seated properly with care, with love. Alright, so once you have done that, just tighten the screw 6 at the back and 7 at the bottom to secure the top cover to the chassis. So for demonstration purpose, I'm going to tighten the 2 diagonal screw at the back panel as well as the 2 diagonal screw at the bottom panel. Alright, and flip this to the back and tighten the bottom screw. Again, I usually practice tightening the screw at the 2 diagonal corner so that at least 2 screws is sufficient to secure the unit or the chassis. Right, ta-da, just like that. The LPS A6 is now installed in the eversolo streamer. Should I be doing the power up test for you? I think I can. I have a power cord with me and it is already turned on. Let me just plug in the power cord, and there's a switch at the back. It is in off position right now. Plug in the power cord, turn on the unit. The unit is now power up. You need to press on the front panel to turn it on. It is a master edition, so the amber color LED on the volume mods tells you that this is the master edition. I think the standard edition has a white color LED. And the eversolo display, brilliant, nice, vibrant display will show up to show you that it is starting up. Right, you have done the LPS A6 modification to the eversolo streamer. It is pretty straightforward and it will work pretty well with solid state drive as a streamer, as a transport, or with a USB pen drive that you want to stream music from these 2 storage devices, or even with the M2 solid state drive that you can install at the bottom of the unit. Alright, I hope this guide is helpful for you. If you like the content of my channel, do subscribe and I will see you next time. Bye bye.